Hello, gorgeous souls. Welcome to this video on the Cancer new moon happening July 14th. We're also going to take a look at the other big transits that are happening this month because July is a wild month and the energy right now, you may be feeling like momentum is really building and you're loving it and you're going with the flow and manifestations are happening really quickly, even to the point of almost disbelief. Like, is this really happening? Things changing so much day to day. And that quick pace is definitely not going to stop. If anything, with more planets and the nodal axes preparing to move into fire and air, the pace is just going to speed up. Our perception of time has been shifting for a while, and we're already at a new way of understanding and relating to time, and it's just going to quicken. This doesn't mean that we have to feel overwhelmed. We can learn to calibrate to this new energy. Now, another big theme that I'm seeing right now is people making big changes to their path, really feeling called in new directions. Old chapters of their life are closing, whether this is in their business, where the focus was in relationships, like big changes to our path, our purpose, and our focus in life. And there is this mass awakening to what we are really here to do on the planet, like what our soul purpose is. And we're more clearly able to see where we were under the influence of conditioning and pressure. Like that was more at play in the past, where we felt like this is the path I have to take for my life. This is the way I have to show up. I should be focused in this area. And now we're really questioning all of that, especially with the Cancer new moon. It really brings us home to what we're here to do. What is nourishing for us? And because it is also a cardinal sign, we have the motivation and the initiation to move forward and get things done. Now, it's not like the Aries cardinal energy, the first cardinal sign, where it's like, let's go, it should be done by yesterday. The Cancerian cardinal energy can be more cautious and really want to feel safe before making big moves. But there's ways to cultivate safety. And there's ways to help our nervous system relax. And all of that is really coming into play around this new moon as well. So let me share my screen and let's take a closer look at the transits here. Of course, beginning with the new moon in Cancer, we have the moon, the sun at 21 degrees of Cancer. Really, it's very close to the 22 mark. Next to Mercury, which is currently retrograde at 19 degrees of Cancer. So, out of all of the signs in the zodiac, Cancer is ruled by the moon, and it really teaches us about emotions and emotional intelligence and puts a spotlight on the way we relate to emotions in our life. Do we allow them to control us? Are we pretending they don't exist? Because we all know that doesn't work, right? Just as allowing them to control us and be on this constant roller coaster of making decisions or communicating with people in our life based on how we feel in any given moment never plays out really well. The opposite is true as well. If we just block them out altogether and we're not in touch with what our emotions are trying to tell us, because emotions are energy in motion, they are messengers. It's important to take a look at that this new moon. And in fact, you probably won't be able to just escape from that feeling of, okay, like there are certain feelings here or certain experiences with Cancer as well. This could be stemming back to your childhood or your family life, where there are certain memories I find for people right now that are emerging as well. And they're emerging because they're relevant for where you're going next. So there can be times in our life where we just want to suppress certain memories, or it's even a survival thing. Like we need to put something aside so we can really focus on where we're going. But right now, we are at a place where a lot of things that were buried down are surfacing, especially with the Mercury retrograde. It's like what conversations need to be had with yourself, with others, and there is such an honesty there. It doesn't necessarily make it any easier to do this work, but I do also feel there is a courage building within a lot of people as well to look at having the hard conversation looking at what needs to be forgiven, looking at resentment, and not getting stuck in the past, which we do want to be aware of with the Cancerian energy too, that we're not too nostalgic or pulled back into old memories that we can't let go of. But it is that balance of, okay, if it's influencing where I'm going next, how I feel today, how I relate to people today, how I show up in my business today, then it's something that really gets to be looked at and healed and resolved. And the Cancerian energy reminds us to do that in ways that are really nurturing and compassionate toward ourselves. Now, the main aspect that this new moon is making, and even then, it's not really exact. It's like there's these interesting planetary aspects that are happening around the new moon, and then the new moon, of course, is the spotlight for the new moon. So it's very significant. It's like this purity of the Cancerian energy and archetype, and then so much happening around it. But I would still consider a square formation here between the moon in Cancer, the new moon, sun and moon, to Saturn in the sign of Aries. And anytime Saturn comes into the mix, it really reminds us that there's an element of work that needs to be done for where we are going. When Saturn comes into the mix, we can't avoid doing the work. We can't avoid looking at what needs to change. But it does suggest that's what is started at this new moon is going to be lasting, and it's probably not something that just started with this new moon. You're likely revisiting things that have been in the works for a while, but they're really starting to take off. There's like a new foundation that's being created. And when I say doing the work, like with Saturn, yes, it is action. So if you've been in inaction, I always receive this message from the Akashic Records. Like anytime I'm in that space, I feel my spirit team. And I felt this with clients as well, like cheering us on, like, hey, you're here in the physical doing the work. We're cheering you on, and it's on you to take the action. And we'll rearrange things in the background, we'll line up the energy, but you got to move. So there's certainly an element of, are we doing everything we know how to do each day to move forward? But the work can also be the raising of our standards, the setting of a boundary, and improving our mindset and adjustment in our energy. Like all of that qualifies as the work as well. Now, if we move away from the direct aspects with this new moon, there's some powerful alignments here. So the first one is Jupiter recently moved into the sign of Leo. So it's at 3 degrees at the time of this new moon. And this is one of my actually favorite transits of the year. Jupiter moving into Leo is this boost of boldness, of energy, of courage, of reflecting on what it means for you at this time of your journey to take center stage in your life. Like we hear that term, it's classic associated with Jupiter and Leo, but what does it actually mean for you to take center stage in your life at this time? Where are you hiding? Where are you dimming your light? Where is there an element of more expression, creative expression that wants to come alive within you? There's also a lot of joy coming in with Jupiter and Leo, where we're prioritizing, and this is showing up in some other areas in the chart as well, prioritizing more rest, more playfulness, more of the things that are nourishing. And of course, the Cancerian energy really points to that as well, and is that reminder that if we want true success, if we want the energy to pursue our goals, to have lasting motivation, we have to nourish ourselves, and we have to know what that looks like, and we have to know how to do that. And we're really exploring that in these energies and really throughout this transit, which will last for a year until July of 2027 with Jupiter in Leo here. So it's a really joyful energy. Really, I really love that shift. Now, if we look at the opposition with Pluto, it's temporarily taking on a different tone here. That's bringing it more depth. Pluto in Aquarius, and we've been collectively working with this energy as well. Pluto moves so slowly. If you've followed my videos, others astrologers, we've been speaking a lot about Pluto and Aquarius, even leading up to that in 2023. We're like, Pluto and Aquarius is coming. It's a really big shift. And, we are now at the beginning stages of that, where we're seeing old systems rapidly crumbling. So many people already operating from this 5D consciousness. It's not just a distant idea of creating the new earth. Many people are building businesses based around this new earth consciousness. Like that is already happening. It's already very present. I know if you're here, you've been operating from that new consciousness. So the more that people are, the more we see that collectively playing out. And that is Pluto and Aquarius as well. To understanding what unity consciousness means in a new way, and how, as we hold a certain frequency and enough people hold that new frequency, the vibration of the planet shifts and the way of life on the planet changes as well. So Jupiter opposing Pluto here is huge change that's unfolding for you on a deep soul level, but it does speak to the collective change as well. So we can apply this personally, looking at what is required within you to shift. It's like the death rebirth energy. What part of you needs to die for the new to be reborn? And then on a bigger scale, we're also asking that question, what needs to crumble for the new to be rebuilt? So very, very powerful aspect here. And an opposition can be a point of tension because it's like the energies are pulling in a different direction. There's a different focus, and we have to find the balance within it. And with the Leo Aquarius energy, it's the reminder that, the Leo part of it is how you show up really does matter. Like how you show up, how you care for yourself, your voice, your energy in the world does influence the collective. And that's the Aquarian part of it, the group, the collective. Now, Pluto is also aspecting Uranus, and there's this beautiful trine that's forming here that's going to be exact on the 18th by degree and minute. So just days after the new moon, but we're absolutely feeling it at the time of the new moon. They're already exact by degree. And Uranus and Gemini can be part of what's bringing this feeling, perhaps for some people, of being overwhelmed or scattered, or we may even oscillate. Like some days are like, I'm on top of it, I am in flow, momentum is building, things are coming together. And then other days we may swing the other way. That's part of even opposition with Jupiter and Pluto. But even with this trine, which is a harmonious flow of energy, it could feel a little bit of like the back and forth that is change, right? We may feel forward momentum and then feel like we take a few steps back until we calibrate to fully being in that new energy, that new timeline. So it can play out as being very overwhelmed. So this is where we need to take time to focus. We need to clear the noise, clear our energy field, and really hone in on what is my goal right now? Like, what is my main goal? What is my main focus? And do my actions every day align with that? We're almost like breaking it down, making it simpler for ourselves, because the shadow side of Uranus and Gemini, which we're working with for quite a few more years, is jumping from idea to idea without anything fully landing or fully taking form. So we have to look at giving things space to breathe and really using the power of our focus is going to be so key here. But Uranus trining Pluto just speaks to huge collective evolution as well. So once again, points to like the consciousness of the planet has been rising, and just the changes that are a part of that. So we can fall into fear around it, or we can stay focused on where we know we're going. We can be part of creating more peace and more harmony and a new way of life on this planet, and not fall in to some of the fear programming. But it absolutely speaks to massive change. And, on a personal level, it's again that soul level transformation that's happening. Something new is awakening within you. And part of that means I have to let go. I have to let go of the old. And this can be old self-image, old identity to allow something else to be born. Now we also have the nodes at 0 degrees, the north node 0 degrees of Pisces, the south node down here at 0 degrees of Virgo next to Venus, which has now moved into Virgo. Now, the nodes have been in this placement for a year and a half, and by the end of July, they're going to move into Aquarius and Leo. So, right now, like the 0 degree mark, we are at the peak of this energy, which is part of that intensity that we may be feeling as well. So, with the South Node in Virgo, it can really be looking at letting go of control, where we're still stuck in needing to control it all, understand it with our mind before we feel safe, where we are being too rigid. And the North Node in Pisces is, can we surrender more? Can we trust in a higher power? And Pisces is the final sign of the zodiac. So it teaches us, when we have a North Node there, I think one of the biggest lessons we're learning as humans to not need to control, be in the illusion of control in order to feel safe and to remember who we are beyond the mind. That's where the magic really happens when we're no longer limited by what our mind knows is possible, because our mind is limited by nature, can only hold so much information, and most of it is just history. It's the data bank of the past. So when we can open up to soul level intelligence, to a higher power, imagine how that changes what we manifest, what we create, how we feel, how we move through our life. So, this has been a big initiation that's at the peak right now, this 0 degrees. And where this is falling in your chart could also feel like an area of your life where it's time to make a clear decision here. And this is not going to be new. This has been unfolding for like a year and a half, and now it's reaching this peak energy again of it's time to have this conversation. It's time to make a decision. It's time to move. What am I waiting for? This energy doesn't serve us well if we are in waiting energy. We get to move. When we move, when we take action, when we're in new conversations, that's when momentum is going to build for us. So, very powerful aspect here. And then if we, take in consideration the Venusian energy here, this could be some big changes in relationships, where relationships are changing or ending, or there's old soul contracts that just have to end now, or old dynamics. So this doesn't always mean people leave our life, but it means the old contract and karma is ending. And sometimes that does mean we walk away. Other times is we rewrite what it now gets to look like as we move forward. So there can just be a change in the nature of that relationship. And then even Venus here forming this square with Uranus in Gemini. Oh my goodness. It's like huge awakening energy of what we really want in our relationships. And when it comes to abundance as well, Venus is also our relationship with money. So there could be new realizations there around what needs to change with money. Maybe even with the South Node there, it's like letting go of the need to try to control that or be too rigid, or where have I given my power away to money and how can I reclaim that? I always tell my clients that's the start of creating new abundance, is when you remember you are more powerful than money. You look at the ways you've given your power to money by allowing it to control how you feel, who you are, what you think is possible, and you reclaim that. And that's such a liberating process. So this aspect could absolutely speak to that, but it is a square, so it could be a point of tension as well. But that, squares in astrology too, I have found personally spark change, because it's often that discomfort and tension that makes us realize something has to shift here, something has to change. And I find people that have a lot of squares in their chart, they tend to be people that like get things done, or they've had challenges in their life that they can't ignore. And as a result, it sparked a lot of growth and evolution because they couldn't just sit on things. They had to face it. They couldn't ignore or avoid. So when we see these in the charts, these aspects, they can actually promote and be the beginning of creating a lot of change and evolution. One final thing around this new moon before we wrap up is Chiron now in Taurus as well. So, one of the only signs that's, well, I guess we got Venus here temporarily holding down that earth energy. Otherwise, the reason I say the energy is just going to speed up is the fire and air that we have this year. And now as the nodal axis in July shifts as well into a air and fire sign, more of that dynamic energy with Jupiter now in a fire sign, more of that dynamic energy. It's just a lot of fire energy. Of course, Saturn and Neptune here, and then we have the air, Mars and Uranus and Gemini. So that's the fast pace. Now, Chiron and Taurus, if you have this in your chart, I did a reel on this just yesterday talking about how Chiron is the most misunderstood in many ways part of our chart, and yet it's the key to our greatest healing ability and the medicine that we're here to share. And the reason it's misunderstood is it presents as a challenge initially. It's like a wound that we bring in from past life is reinforced early on this life. And we're meant to take the medicine from it so it becomes our greatest gift. But the key is we have to take the medicine from it. We have to recognize how the wound is playing out and begin to heal that. So collectively now, Chiron in Taurus also brings in a lot of collective healing around money and our relationship to money, as well as our relationship to Mother Gaia, to nature, and to our physical body, and also speaks to themes of owning our value and our worth. So big shifts happening, right? Not just saying wild energies this month. Like we really got a lot happening. So if you would like support in working with these energies, a closer look at your chart, really working with your birth chart and the current transits to support you with your goals in your business, in your life, where you want to go next. If you are feeling overwhelmed by this or stuck in indecision, I not only look at your chart, I help you apply it tangibly. And then we also work together in your Akashic records where I bring through personalized activations and clearings. So we're not just stuck in that energy, we're actively shifting it together. I just dropped my birthday special. So I am a Cancer. My birthday is coming up on July the 18th. And every year I love to celebrate with my community by offering some really amazing exclusive offers that range in price and that range in what you're getting. So if you're wanting community or group support, there's that. There's some personal mentorship options as well. So I will attach that below in the show notes if you're on the podcast or if you're here with me on YouTube, which I always recommend for these new and full moon videos since we go over the chart together. I'll attach the link below, and I would love to support you in this time where I'm sure you're feeling a big shift in the timeline you're walking and the path you're called to. And I trust it's going somewhere beautiful, and it's actually more of an expression of what you're really here to do on the planet than maybe you ever felt before. And it's okay if it's a little wobbly right now because it's the beginning of a new journey and a new chapter, but I know it's going somewhere beautiful. All right, sending so much love to you all. Enjoy this Cancer new moon energy, and I'll see you soon.